Technology upgrades are now moving forward for the city of Jasper. More on that. Plus, Carrie Schneider is back with our friends at the Du Bois County Humane Society, and the Ferdinand Folkfest Fondue is tonight's topic on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. The Jasper Utility Service Board is continuing with plans for upgraded technology at city and utility offices. Last night, the board approved an agreement with Technology Dynamics to design a new phone system for the city and replace the current system. That project is expected to cost nearly $17,800 in all. The city is set to pay half of that cost, and the other half will be paid by the utilities. Now, the new system will be used at all city and utility offices. Utilities General Manager Bud Hauersperger says the updates are long overdue.
Well, we think it's going to be very important. First of all, the phone system here in City Hall was originally installed when the building was built, and so it's exceeded its life, and we've been having trouble finding parts and everything. So we really are way behind in getting it replaced.
Hauersperger says the communication between departments would be much easier with a new phone system. Now, the board also continued discussions on plans for a fiber network. The city is now getting proposals for a project that would create a fiber optic cable loop. Hauersperger says the idea could wind up being for more than just city government.
Since we were doing the fiber and we were talking to fiber companies, we thought we'd go ahead and twist their arms a little bit and say, hey, you know, what about doing fiber to the home? We know some other communities have had that, and we think it would be a great economic development tool. So we've asked them to include in their proposals, you know, what they felt would be a time frame possibly that they would do Jasper, or if they would do Jasper at all.
Hauersperger says a couple of companies who were asked for proposals have shown interest in adding a citywide fiber optic network. A pair of railroad crossing closures in our area have once again been rescheduled. Norfolk Southern Railroad crews will now close the crossing at State Road 64 in Huntingburg next Monday. It had been set to start yesterday. The crossing at State Road 257 in Velpen over in Pike County will now be closed beginning tomorrow. Now, the State Road 64 crossing is set to be closed for the entirety of next week. The repairs are expected to be done by Friday, September 26th. Traffic will be detoured along US 231 and State Road 62 during this time. Meanwhile, the Velpen crossing closure will begin tomorrow, and it will run through this Friday, September 19th. That detour will follow State Roads 56, 61, and 64. NDOT says local traffic will have access up to the railroad crossing at both locations while work is being done. At that point, all lanes will be closed at the crossing, and there will be no through traffic. The new Jasper Engines and Transmissions remanufacturing facility on Power Drive has completed its first week of operations. Production at the new facility officially began last Monday, September 8th. Company officials say the first transmission to be remanufactured there was a front-wheel drive GM 4T65E. Now, the Power Drive facility will feature 14 work areas known as pods for remanufacturing of the transmissions when all is said and done. Specific transmission families will be remanufactured in specific pods. Megapods will be utilized for remanufacturing higher volume transmissions. There are a few long-term goals in place for the Power Drive facility. One of those is to eventually begin all new transmission product launches from that facility. Another is the possibility of future growth. Company officials say the Power Drive facility will only take up about 60% of the available space in the building initially. There will then be opportunities to expand into the remaining space in future years. Now, as you'll recall, the Power Drive expansion was announced back in April. It's the company's third major expansion within the last few years. Up to 235 new jobs in all could be created at the facility by the year 2017. The Power Drive facility is one of 5 remanufacturing facilities that Jasper Engines has. The others are Wernsing Road, Jasper West, Crawford County, and Willow Springs, Missouri. Radius Indiana has received a prestigious grant for the second straight year. President and CEO Becky Skillman announced yesterday that Radius has been awarded a $20,000 University of Indianapolis Center of Excellence in Leadership of Learning, or CEL grant. The grant is funded by the Indiana Education Roundtable. The grant was awarded based off of findings that were compiled from various research from local and regional advisory councils throughout the 8-county Radius, Indiana region. Now, SEL originally established the Education Workforce Innovation Network, or EWIN grants, in order to address the needs to align the state's K-12 and post-secondary education with the needs of our workforce. Skillman says the initiative is important due to the availability of a trained workforce being a major factor in where businesses choose to locate. The plan will also allow for production of a toolkit for outreach materials to be used by Radius Indiana, the community, and members of the Radius Regional Workforce and Education Council. The toolkits will be used to promote regional career and technical opportunities. This phase of the workforce and education development is expected to be completed by November of this year. Now, this award follows up last year's $75,000 award. Last year's award was used to establish the local and regional advisory councils. Indiana conservation officers are urging the state's deer hunters to donate some of the venison they take in the upcoming hunting season to programs that help to feed low-income families. The Department of Natural Resources says the Sportsman's Benevolent Fund program provided nearly 270,000 high-protein venison meals to hungry families during the 2013-2014 deer season. Those meals came from the more than 67,000 pounds of venison deer hunters donated to the program that's administered by the DNR Law Enforcement Division. The Sportsman's Benevolent Fund received public funding during the 2013 legislative session. Now, the DuBois County Sportsman's Club is among 3 groups that are developing a statewide network of butcher shops aimed at distributing the venison. The other 2 are Hoosiers Feeding the Hungry and Mother Hubbard's Cupboard. All venison is ground into burger and will be provided in 2-pound packages. Finally this evening, Toyota says it plans to add 180 full-time production jobs to its southwestern Indiana factory over the next 5 months. Toyota officials say the first 60 of those workers will come next month from among employees of its temporary staffing company, Aerotech. Now, Aerotech is set to have a job fair coming up next Saturday, September 27th, for those interested in working at the factory, which is located just outside of Princeton. Toyota spokeswoman Kelly Dillon says the hiring comes because of strong sales for the Highlander and Sequoia SUVs and Sienna minivans from the 4,700 worker factory. Now, this marks the second major announcement for the Princeton plant over the last couple of months. Toyota announced just last month it would spend $100 million to boost Highlander production at the Princeton factory, with plans to add 300 workers within the next couple of years. All right, coming up after the break, Carrie is back with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, plus your local forecast, sports with Kurt Guxell, and Inform featuring the Folkfest Fondell. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.